we are leaping into the quantum. This is a fascinating episode that I'm so excited for you to listen to. We are talking about, first of all, how to protect yourself from EMFs. So, the frequency that we may be exposed to from our cell phones, from our Wi Fi, cell phone towers, and way more microwaves. And then also, how do we then really harness the quantum energy to really help on our healing journey as we prepare for pregnancy success? So excited for you to listen to this episode. Let's go. Hey, Philip, excited to have you on the podcast.
Hi, thank you for having me on.
Great. Can you share your journey with us and how you came to do this work?
Yeah, absolutely. So I used to be in the corporate world, first in corporate Europe and then in corporate America. And I realized relatively quickly that, well, I had cut off myself from my emotions, my inner world, my feelings quite a lot, and was really just operating on a very rational level. And to a point where I felt, well, this is just too much. And I realized there's so much more in life than just thinking with your brain and just being here up here in the head and trying to make rational decisions all the time. And so I started digging into the energy world by reading some books, doing some meditation, starting a yoga practice, things like that. And then one came to the next and got really curious in that. And I realized, wow, there's so much truth, and there's the real life actually waiting for me. So I went through shamanic workshops. I learned how to do past life regression work and other energy healing techniques. And in 2005, I met my wife, who was born with the ability to see aura and energy fields. So she never had lost this conscious connection of who she is. And so that helped me further to get into that, understand that world more, and build out my own abilities that everyone has. Frankly, it's often thought, wow, you have this amazing healer, it's just miracles, but it's just this one person that can do it. No, like we all have the ability to see and perceive energy and to move energy and to even work with frequencies. It's just something we've forgotten how to do. Anyway, my wife had been diagnosed with chronic Lyme disease. And so that was pretty tough because when she got diagnosed, she had had it already for 5 years. That sparked in me this, I wanted to always find the next best thing that really can help something that mainstream calls untreatable. And yeah, we were very successful. I mean, there were a lot of different things that I came up with, frankly, and that she did also with her own abilities. But ultimately, all of that led to me getting out of corporate in 2016, where I said, okay, no more. I have to be myself all the time. And I also just want to do what my calling is really, and also what my passion is. And that was really in the realm of healing, quote unquote healing, right? Trying to really find something that helps. And because of working with some of the most amazing healers together, we're able to cut our development time of our products by decades in some cases, frankly, because we can go into the scientific testing and studying after we already know what the products do, and how they work. So it's very different from rather than going into trial and error each time and trying to do this and trying to do that and all of that. We get to the end very, very quickly and very, rapidly and successfully.
Great. Yeah. So we here at Fat Fertile, so we take a mind, body, spirit approach. And most people that come to work with us, they've, conventional medicine has turned their back on them, and they've been told, donor eggs are their only option. They typically gone through, multiple failed IVFs and IUIs and given a very low success rate. Then we look at, healing the body, mind, body, spirit, and lo and behold, they either get pregnant naturally, or if they do need to go to the clinic for an IVF, it actually works. So, and today we're going to dig in a little bit to EMFs, and then also the energetic piece of this, because yeah, we really believe in, universe, God, whatever it is for someone. But and it's interesting. We bring in. I typically tend to attract a type A, like overthinking, planning, controlling type of person. And then it's really kind of stuck up in their head, and being able to visualize their baby coming can sometimes be very difficult, especially when they've been told by conventional medicine, a well-meaning REI being told, sorry, you're going to struggle. And so that kind of gets imprinted in their subconscious, and they start to believe it. So really being able to reframe and rewire their brain to be able to see there is a light at the end of the tunnel. There is a positive pregnancy test, in their future. So let's talk about the importance of protecting ourselves from EMFs while you're on the fertility journey. Why is that so important?
I'll get into that. I just want to tell the listeners who don't know my background or may not know much. I used to be the vice president at T-Mobile International, responsible for 14 countries, and then also at T-Mobile US. So I do know that side of the house very, very well. And I know the other side as well, which is, this technology has amazing benefits and advantages for humanity, obviously does. But it comes with something very difficult, because these frequencies that we're dealing with there are not helpful to the human body, and frankly, not even to plants and animals. So it's really for any physiological organism. You can measure what the impact is, and there are a lot of ways to measure it. You won't find much of that on Google, but that's Google related, right? That has nothing to do with it. There are no studies out there. There are thousands of studies, actually, even started a decade ago. You already had thousands of studies proving what the difficulties are. We specifically looked at dark field microscopy and live blood analysis and heart rate variability in these things. Live blood analysis is probably one of the best tools ever to look at these things and to look at your overall health in general. Most of your listeners may not have heard about it yet. That may be the case because in the US, about 20 years ago, they decided that they would charge any practitioner that uses live blood analysis as a diagnostic tool $100,000 per year as a license fee. So, and what practitioner can afford to do that, right? So basically, that's why you don't find many practitioners anymore. You still find some. You can at least use it for research purposes. So the studies we have done actually were done by the BESA Institute in a doctor's office in Europe, but at the same time by Dr. Beverly Rubik, who's a UC Berkeley, very famous actually doctor here in the US, who's done dozens of studies in regards to dark field microscopy. You can see basically your blood in real time, and you can see everything because the blood cells are magnified and they're illuminated, so you can literally see how the red blood cells move, how they look like, and you can see white blood cells and a lot of other things as well. It's fascinating, and you can see as soon as you introduce Wi-Fi to someone, that the blood rapidly changes. It starts to clot. So you see stage 1 and stage 2 of blood clotting relatively rapidly, and you see these so-called money rolls. That's when the red blood cells, get stacked on top of each other, and that's really unhealthy because then the blood is not oxygenated, and you have a higher risk for heart attack, for stroke, for anything. And I bet you that it will have impact on fertility as well, because if our blood, which is our lifeblood, which is everywhere, if that's not healthy, how can anything else be fully healthy? So that's what you can see under a dark field microscope, and there have been studies showing that what EMF does. Yeah, in a nutshell, we can go into what the solutions are, of course, but yeah, first let's say it definitely has an impact.
And then some people are more sensitive than others. So like what are some it's hard to know because we're surrounded by this at all times, right? So how do you know that there is obviously we're seeing it on the blood, but what are some other symptoms that could be related to EMF exposure? I know sometimes people, if they're close to like a cell phone tower, they can, some people are very even sensitive just, living close to it, and they may have different symptoms. Like, what are you seeing with that?
Yeah, people see headaches and migraines quite a lot because of it. You can feel energetically, often you can feel it as a contraction, like that you're like energetically cramping quicker and more often than you would usually do that. That can have other factors and reasons as well, but EMF would support that. And just a higher stress level and less sleep, less good sleep, less deep sleep, because sleep is really, we want to rest, completely rest and relax, and that's how we recover. But if there's this constant ping that's unnatural to our body and we can't really deal with it, it's just an additional stressor. And then one gets to the next, right? Because it's one stressor that doesn't really go away, and actually it gets worse by the day because you have more cell towers. Now you're rolling out 5G, which is actually much more detrimental than 4G. So it's not getting easier, and then the body is getting into a position where it needs to play catch up at all times, and the body can't fulfill its originally designed purpose anymore, which is to heal itself. The body can literally heal itself. Like, we can do that. It's just we've forgotten how to do it. And on top of that, we're bombarded with all these stressors. And then we're just like, okay, we we try to close the holes that pop up, and more holes pop up every day.
I'm not sure if any studies come to mind around with pregnancy, with children. Anything coming to mind there for you?
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not an expert in fertility like you are, but for me, it's just common sense and absolutely logical that if you put your body under such stress, constant stress, and you get more symptoms by the day because of these stressors, and your blood is impacted, your autonomic nervous system is impacted. Well, if you can't function 100%, I mean, how can you believe that you would just be as fertile as you would otherwise be in a completely healthy situation? If your body is in a fully healthy state, of course, any body function is much better. And I would even go as far as that, from a higher perspective, if you're in a very healthy state, your system is ready to give birth, right? And take all that on. But if you're under big stress, you may not be ready for it. And so, I'm not saying this is the reason. This is one of the ingredients, right, that makes our life tough. And if we can neutralize that aspect of it, we're going to be better off.
Yeah, that's what we address, all the different inputs, be it food sensitivities or gut infections, environmental toxins from the air, the noise, the EMFs, our personal care, cleaning products, not all at once because it can be overwhelming. And then also mental emotional stressors. So all those different stressors and how they're impacting the body. And a lot of times we just don't even know. We've been told to eat a certain type of food, follow the food pyramid. You got a food sensitivity, or maybe it's the glyphosate that's sprayed on the food there that's causing issues with your health. And looking at EMFs so what are some sources that we for EMFs that we need to be aware of?
Yeah, so I mean, obviously, microwave. I mean, microwave is probably something you want to eliminate altogether anyway. Like, I'm not a big fan of microwaves at all because they kill the nutrition in the food, and on top of that, you have radiation actually coming from the microwaves that are not good at all. And then obviously, cell phones, iPads, even TV um, and laptops, those are all emitting EMF frequencies. And if you're on the phone, you're very close. Usually we have Wi-Fi all over the place. Now we're talking 4G, 5G. 5G is actually different in that it is completely unnatural to the human body because it has a different pulsing mechanism, and how the waveform basically hits our bodies. It's not happening in a somewhat regular way, but it's completely irregular. So it's like we're getting all these, we're beaten up basically on a frequency level with that. So all those are, having an impact.
And so let's go into how we protect ourselves. So you have a number of different products. I just kind of wanted to like go into them and talk about some ways to protect ourselves. So where would you have a suite of products? So where would you start for someone who's like, you know what, I'm on the fertility journey. I want to protect myself from EMFs. Like they've taken their phone out the bedroom. Maybe they've got the kill switch on the Wi-Fi at night. They've, taken out Alexa, all these, different things. They've maybe got they're not keeping their phone, on their person anymore, or they may have found a case for the phone. So where is the best place to start?
Yeah, I think the very best way to start is actually to not have any fear in regards to EMFs,
Yeah.
because fear actually is an additional stressor, and it's a very detrimental stressor. So if we have fear of EMF, the problem actually gets magnified. That's literally what happens. And be aware that everyone without any other tools can be in a state of consciousness where EMFs don't matter. So none of the healers that we work with, for example, have any problem with EMF. Also, I can be under a 5G tower and it's okay. I can deal with that. I wouldn't want to go about my day underneath a cell tower, because as I start doing that, I have less focus on how I can energetically expand. I'm caught up in other things. But I think that's an important message, because we can, if we're super healthy physically, mentally, and then also energetically really expanded, then EMFs don't bother us. Now, the problem is that 99.9% of the people don't have this ability. They haven't unlocked that much of their consciousness yet. And that's where products come in that you can use to help yourself with. So some people go as far as actually putting some specific, products around their house to block everything off. I think that's a total overkill, and it does not help with, with the whole situation, because you block off actually EMFs completely, and then how are you going to use your cell phone and all of that? So if you live in an environment where you don't need that, you don't need Wi-Fi and all of that, great, then that may be for you. Another way is that you can wear EMF protective clothing. So we have some of that. For example, it's on top of that quantum charged, which is very unique. So, for example, it would be a T-shirt or underwear or even a jacket that you can wear that is made with high purity silver fabric that blocks EMF with over 99.9%. So any EMF. It has been actually tested, verified, and certified even from the largest independent EMF research institute in Europe. So that's one thing you can do. But then really the fun starts to actually use all your Wi-Fi, all your cell phones and laptops without any problem by having one of our blocks. That's our quantum block technology.
Mhm.
And those you put in your home or in your office. And what they do is they don't block the EMF signals, but they put your body in a state where the EMFs don't impact you at all, literally at all. This has been even studied in randomized sham controlled, which means placebo controlled, single blind and double blind studies. By looking at the blood, by looking at the heart rate variability and all these things, we can see what happens with Wi-Fi. You see, the blood clotting and all these other bad things. And then as soon as you introduce the quantum block, infinity block, or travel block into the same room, while you still have the Wi-Fi on, suddenly all of these stressors and visible negative effects disappear within only minutes. Literally after 10 to 15 minutes, all of that, including stage 1 and stage 2 of blood clotting, was able to be reversed by our products in 100% of the cases. So we're talking literally 100% of the cases. We've done 5 of those studies by now, and we still have to find a single person where it doesn't work with the significant positive improvement. So it's quite significant. And the good news is with that, it doesn't only do that. It does also other things for harmonizing frequencies, and you can do tons of other things with that. But EMFs are neutralized in that sense, but you can still use them, so you're not blocked off or cut off from them.
And so can you just so how did you develop these blocks then? Like how so you've tested them, but how did you even come to develop these blocks?
Yeah, so that came just out of my experience and my calling in regards to what energy healing can do if you work with a truly gifted healer. I'm not talking, some Reiki dude across the street, no offense to anyone, but that is like a very, very, very weak level of energy healing. And I don't want to discredit it, but it's on the scale from 0 to 100, it's very low. I'm talking about people that can, I mean, that you would call almost miracles, right? What they can do energy wise. And to combine that with products so that you can have sort of like a healer in your pocket or something like that, that was the vision that came out of that. And then we just started to do testing and development. And it certainly took us quite some time. But that's how we arrived at products that these blocks, they can concentrate pure quantum energy without any brute force whatsoever, in a way never seen before. And you can actually measure it also on the Hawkins scale. People are familiar with Dr. Hawkins' work. The book is called Power versus Force, and he set up a consciousness scale. So you can literally calibrate and measure different levels of consciousness of people, of locations, and so on. It's actually very, very scientific, even though it sounds woo-woo at first. But once you've read the book or listened to the audio book, you'll know it's actually quite scientific. And you can measure all blocks on that scale, and they measure higher than anything else out there. And that's the pure quantum energy. Some others could call it a high consciousness field. Yeah, depending on what term or definition you want to use.
So it's not necessarily just protecting from EMFs, it's actually like charging your environment and some of your even your phone, like different things that you may have in your house with this quantum energy. Is that sort of the like, it's protecting, but also it's giving in? Can you maybe explain that?
Yeah. So first of all, what it does to the body, it's really it helps to upgrade your cells literally, and your own consciousness level can raise way easier and way quicker while you're having this high consciousness field. And it actually works in a staircase effect. So you don't even have to use it all the time. I mean, it's great if you do, because then you have a positive environment all the time. But even if you turned it off after a week, that week already carried you way further than you were a week prior. And yeah, it has all these other benefits on the body, but then you can actually charge foods with it.
Yeah.
For example, water. If you put water in, then the Moto Institute out of Japan tested that our quantum block was able to improve water within 3 minutes more than anything else they've ever seen before. Because what happens, so this pure quantum energy actually, by nature, um, brings everything into optimal balance, into its optimal state, or supports it to get there. Water can act very, very quickly. Water is super receptive to energy. We as a human, we're a very complex system of lots of emotions and traumata and, I mean, physical stresses and all these things. Like, you can't expect that you're in a perfect state within just a few minutes, like water will be. But you will see these activities and these changes also super rapidly, as I said, in the blood. But yeah, so you can structure water with it. Obviously, water is in every fruit, in every vegetable. So you can put your vegetables, your fruits in there, all of that. And then you could put your silverware or any metal products in it and charge them. And they actually get permanently charged them with quantum energy and transmit the energy outwards. So there's lots of different things you can do with it. And yeah,
Mhm.
even way beyond that. I don't want to get into too much because it's so much that you can do with it.
Mhm.
We would need another podcast probably to cover it all.
You can also put supplements in there too, right?
Yes, you can, and with that, you have two benefits. So one thing is usually during production, there's some negative energy that happens, or the packaging itself has not like the ideal energy. So you eliminate that, harmonize that completely, and then you enhance and amplify actually the pureness of whichever supplement you put in. Yeah.
And then so you also have a necklace and some energy cards. So can you maybe talk about the necklace?
Yeah, so those products we make with our technology, and we create specific frequencies as well. So we have this technology, and then with our healers together, we have developed, I think, over 22 different frequency sets
Yeah.
that are for specific use cases. So one would be the inner peace frequency that I always refer to because people notice it very quickly, like within like 30 to 60 seconds of holding that card. Most people really feel the impact relatively quickly, because for anything in regards to fear, panic attacks, anxiety, all these things, the inner peace helps us to find this space, this inner peace that we have within us at all times, and expand it from there. So it's supernatural. It's not like a pill you take to cover a symptom. It's actually you have that inner peace, the state of inner balance within you. But if you're in fear, if you're in anxiety and stress in a stress situation, you're cramped. You're energetically putting walls around your inner peace, and you can't access it anymore. And then you energetically look like this. So what that card does is it helps us to access this again, and then it moves outwards so that we can relax our system more. So that's pretty much how it works. And we have developed multiple frequencies like this for other use cases. So the necklace specifically is called the Heal Capsule, and it contains the primal human healing frequency, and a very pure water frequency, and then specific molecular frequencies of the most important vitamins and minerals that the human body needs on a regular basis. So you get that in frequency form. On top of that, it's charged with pure quantum energy, contains these titanium spheres inside the capsule that are just charged with pure quantum energies to boost the frequencies outwards. So if you wear it, you get the benefit of a quantum energy field, but also of the frequencies. So your body can leverage these frequencies, which has multiple benefits. And also the capsule has been tested, to improve heart rate variability, to help with EMF and all these things. It's not, the blogs are, the actual technology which we make available. And the Heal Capsule is one of the products we make with that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and for someone that's on the fertility journey, a lot of people are feeling, that they're running out of time, very panicked, very a lot of fear that it's not going to work, anxiety, like really very strong emotions with this diagnosis. I was diagnosed with premature ovarian insufficiency at 28, and I had both my kids with donor eggs, and then years later discovered all of these things, and so really and being able to share the message of for people that there's hope, right? We've help people that have been told it'll never work. But what about if someone's like, oh my goodness, this is just, I'm just not feeling any of this stuff. Like, what's with these cards or a block? Like, so is it a prerequisite you feel the person needs to have an open mind, or like where would they need to be as far as getting prepared to add the quantum energy to their life? Like, where do they need to be?
Yeah, they don't need to have an open mind in order for it to work. So it works all the time. Like you don't have to believe in it or any of
Right.
this. I think you need to have an open mind though in order to try it, or even allow the thought that this can work. I totally get it that it's far out there for many people that have just been following mainstream science in general, and we've been taught to not think in these terms, right? Energy and frequency, that's like woo woo, that's we don't go there. Like we can only it only exists what we can touch, feel, and see with our own eyes, right? But that's actually wrong. It's completely wrong, because we are nothing but energy and frequency. That is the truth. nothing but energy and frequency. And even that, what you see here, my hand and all of that, is also nothing but frequency and energy. That's where it all originates from. It's all about information, frequency, and energy. And that's also what Tesla taught us. So if we just allow that thought, then okay, relax into that, maybe let that sit for a couple days, and you'll feel in your heart that it's the truth. It's not that we come from the material. No, the material comes from the energy, and the quantum energy is what sits behind the matter. So if you just allow that, I think then you can allow in that there's something that can support your energetic field, and with that also have physical impacts. And then obviously then you can take the time to look at all the different studies that were done in regards to our products. You can go into our Telegram group where there are way over 5,000 people by now, that you can ask about their experience with our products, and they'll tell you firsthand. Don't ask me, don't take my word, and ask other people, and do your own research. That's what you can do. And yeah, it'll be a heck of a journey, I'm sure, because in the end of the day, it's all about the holistic approach, right? That's the approach you have specifically now geared towards fertility, which is great, but also for other problems in life. The holistic approach is the approach, right? We should see that everything is in balance. We should have a healthy mind, a healthy body. And it's not just all about the physical, right? Don't forget the spiritual, the energetic, however you want to call it. It's also part of it.
And what about the heart rate variability? So many people, because of that extra stress and things like they're feeling, and they may think, "Oh, I'm meditating, I'm doing all these things," but really their the heart rate variability, or the HRV, is showing something different. And I know Joe Dispenza's done, a lot of work on this and studying it using heart math. So, what are you seeing with these products and these techniques with HRV being regulated?
Yes, an absolute improvement in heart rate variability can be seen with our products. And it has not only been tested, how is your heart rate variability with and without the products, and actually not only after 10 minutes, 20 minutes a day, 2 days, 3 days, but also what if you introduce Wi-Fi and these EMF stressors in between. So yeah, it's a great tool to look at. I don't think it's is really as good as looking at the actual blood. I think that's really the ultimate way to do it. But we like to look at heart rate variability and other things. Frankly, we also have the BESA Institute in Europe that has done a lot of testing and certification for our products, and they use an advanced Decavol method, for example, where they look at cellular voltage and things like that. And they can literally tell you for every organ in your body now, is this out of balance? Is this now in optimal state and bad state, and so on? And amazing results came back with that. So yeah, there's really a lot to it. And yeah, people just have a holistic approach for whatever you do. I think that's something that's probably going to be helpful. And don't be in fear. Like, if you've identified already that you have a problem or something, then, just be grateful that you've identified, and then now you can do something about it. And that may be a great journey. So don't go in the fear.
Mhm, absolutely. And is there anything that you're personally obsessed with right now, be it a book, an app, a documentary, anything you're like, "Oh, man, I need to share this."
I'm obsessed right now with our quantum upgrade service that we just launched about a month ago, which for some people now will be even further out there because it's working through quantum entanglement exclusively. But it also has already double blind randomized studies backing up the claims that we're making, because it works, and it has worked in 100% of the cases. It's absolutely phenomenal and amazing. And here we offer a 7-day free trial, actually. So I'll send you the link, because people can try that, and then if you have 7 days, you can dial it up and down, because it's extremely flexible. You can set the values on the Hawkins scale and things like that. And you can set it very low for the nighttime, so you're not too stimulated and all of that. And then you can just feel for yourself and see what it does. And you can certainly join a Telegram group also to hear from other users, what they've experiencing and how it's working for them.
So what exactly is it then? So they'll be listening to a recording, or what will take place?
No, so it's different services. So you can have this service for a business, for your home, so that your whole home gets charged, for example. You can book it for your pet or your cell phone, and you can also use it for yourself. And in that case, you would be provided with a high consciousness field or a pure quantum energy field, um, depending on the Hawkins scale level that you set. So you can set it yourself, and you will have that energy available to you. And what we need for that is a unique identifier. So in order to get the energy to you specifically, we would have to know your birth date, for example, and where you were born, because that needs to happen so that your energetic system can receive the energy. And quantum entanglement is not a new concept by any means. Frankly, it has been proven multiple times in the lab. It may not be around in mainstream much, but it really isn't a new concept. It's just new that now we can combine it with these healing techniques, and that it's now available in that fashion that you can literally like invite it to wherever you are at all times. And I'm a little bit obsessed with it right now because it's amazing. It's mind boggling even for me, right? I've seen so much, I've done so much, and it's every day again. It's just wow. This is phenomenal.
Amazing, amazing, awesome. So we'll have that link in the show notes. And so, do you have any final thoughts for us today, Philip?
Well, I think I shared already, what I suggest in general as an approach to difficulties in life. And other than that, if you're interested in getting in touch with me, learning more about it, go to this Telegram group. You find me there. You can click on me. You can send me a message. I always respond. It takes up to 5 to 10 days sometimes for me to get back, but any other question, frankly, feel free to just post it in the groups. Ask the people what they're thinking, and learn about it. And people are amazing in these groups. They're having great vibe, and they're always helpful to you know answer any question that you have. There's no dumb question. It's a big topic, but it's cutting edge, so it's exciting. And I hope, yeah, on your journey that um, that will help you. And if whatever you're doing, that in general it helps you and you arrive where you want to arrive.
Awesome. I love the work you're doing within this field, and it's like just like fascinating. And as you start to dip your toe in, and you're like, my goodness, it just like opens up a whole other different realm. And there you are, right? And so definitely encourage people to explore this, and I'll have some links in the show notes for it. So thanks again, Philip.
Thank you.